Kicking over.
I don't know. Is it?
Please hold.
I'm going to say this is probably one of my favorite guns.
Cool.
It's a good gun.
I really, really like the 19X, guys.
No, yes, I'll tell you what. It's a great gun. It hasn't kicked over just yet.
Oh, what's that?
But it says we're live.
Uh-oh.
So hang on.
There it is. I think it's in deep constipation.
Yes. Well, we all have bouts of deep constipation.
Yeah, right.
Hello, Gun Nation.
What's up, guys?
Hola.
Got the family popping in. That's awesome. How are you gentlemen doing this evening?
Great.
Yeah, man. Doing very well. Doing very well.
Good.
I won the lotto.
All right. Sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet. So 17 is going to open up a gun store in New York.
Yeah, it's going to be out of business in less than a day.
Right.
Or actually, we could change that to a gun store. It would be called Gun and Storage Facility.
Well, I was going to say, you could be a gun store and people come in to buy a gun, but you never have to give it to them.
That's like living in the North Pole and opening an air conditioner store. It's not happening.
Yeah. Well, Bald's chiming in with his lovely self, saying he has nothing better
your
to
positive
do,
words of graciousness.
yeah, than watch us yoo-hoos. Well, you can always turn it off, Bald, if you don't like us. That's fine.
But you know what? Our lives would not be enriched if you weren't here. So we prefer you be here.
Honestly, mine would actually.
Yeah.
And Kathleen, constipated.
Yep. Got some more people, family piling in. That's awesome.
Best live chat on YouTube, by the way. Three guys guns.
Who is? I'm sorry.
We are.
Oh yeah.
Someone else.
Yeah. No, I didn't hear the three guys gun deal. But all right. I guess Fu Master Chew's having some internet issues getting us to load. You need to feed those squirrels, man, in Oklahoma. That's what makes that internet work. Trust me, I know.
Hey, I don't know, man. Fu, I was running into some issues a little while ago with YouTube. It may not be you. It may not be you.
Mm. Yeah. All right. Well, we got 40 family members in here, and that's awesome. And again, if y'all haven't subscribed to other channels out there, please do. We appreciate y'all so much. But we're going to go ahead and kick it off. I've got some questions. This will be for the panel, and then also I definitely want to hear from the family out there what they think. But this kind of goes to, and I'm gonna give Pops Quest a shout out because he was talking about it, and it kind of sparked. He did a video on it, and I was like, we've kind of talked about it a little bit, but not in the detail that he has. And if you haven't checked out his video, please do. It's actually pretty good. But what he's talking about is, like how often do you shoot your carry gun? And what ranges, like yardages, do you shoot it from? Meaning, like, could you shoot it from 40 yards if you had to? And he does a test where he starts at 50 yards and then he misses the steel. So he has to keep moving up until he feels comfortable or he's actually getting a lot of hits on his target. That brought up a really good point. If we're close, like a lot of close quarter things might happen, that's fine. And we've all kind of agreed that in some of those, you might not even have to look at your sights. But, what do y'all think? Do you, every time, I know not every time you go to the range, you probably take your carry gun, but how often do you shoot your carry gun and what yardages do you shoot it from?
17?
How often do I shoot my own carry gun? It's hard to say because I carry a lot of different guns. If I was going to shoot my carry gun, I'd have to shoot a lot of them, a lot and a lot and a lot. Now, do I have some mainstays? Yeah, I carry this a lot, the M&P 2.0. I also carry my Glock 19, which honestly, I carry this sometimes, but because it's kind of loosely based on a 19, so to speak, I don't necessarily think I have to really shoot a lot with it. But I don't know, probably not often enough. I'll be honest with you. I probably don't shoot my carry guns as often as I'd like to.
And then what distances do you shoot them from? I'm
a 7 to 10 yard guy.
Okay.
I'm not going to be a long distance marksman with a pistol. Honestly, I think you guys are both aware of the way I believe about guns being carry weapons for me. I think anything past 10 is going to be a very questionable shoot. Does it mean that I'm doing the right thing? Probably not. Does it mean that I'm doing the wrong thing? Maybe not. But that's what I do, and I'm happy with that, to be honest with you.
What about you, KS?
Well, first, how often do I shoot my specific carry gun? I carry a couple of different guns. I don't shoot them anywhere near as often as I should. I shoot a lot. I probably shoot 1,500 rounds a month on average. So I feel good about, shooting and at least kind of working the technique and knowing how firearms feel and everything. But I was telling Big Johnson, I carried the Shield all weekend. I was just enjoying carrying it. I've got the new Harry's holster, working with it, and it was just a great carry, super comfortable carry. And it's been probably 2 months since I've shot that gun. Now I've got a lot of trigger time behind Shields, and I feel pretty confident. If I know how it works, I know how I grip it, I know how the sight picture looks, and how to pull and draw and have that sight picture. So I've got some confidence with it, and I probably shoot more than a lot of other people do as far as their carry gun, but I don't shoot as much as I should. Now, in terms of distance, I am very similar to 1776. I, by and large, I shoot somewhere between 6 and 10 yards. That just is where I can do the majority of the things that I want or enjoy or need to do with shooting, whether it's on camera or off camera. I will occasionally push it out maybe 12 and occasionally 15 yards, but that normally isn't going to be with something like a 26 or a 43X. Not that they're not capable of it, but to me, I fall in the same realm. 15 yards, what's that? 45 feet, somewhere around there. That is a pretty long distance shot. And to me, you have to be so incredibly considerate of what your environment is. If you're considering a shot like that, I mean, if you're in a public area, if you're in a mall, if you're in anywhere that has people with a chance of having people back there somewhere, you got to make sure that you're putting rounds on target, because you are responsible for every single round that you shoot, whether they hit the target or not. And you have to answer for that. And so, excuse me, the further distance out, the more of a risk. And think about it. This is not going to the range where you're comfortable and your heart rate isn't up and all of that. I mean, this is oh crap, I'm either going to go to the bathroom or I'm going to pull the trigger, or maybe both at the same time. You gotta be considerate of that,
Yeah. First, I definitely want to thank Wicked for the $1.99. He said we don't spend it in all one place. And then Sawat's throwing out $10 for my hair product. I appreciate that. So, but yeah, as far as, distances, like, do I take my carry gun every single time? And as y'all know, I also rotate carry guns. I'll do gun checks and stuff like that. I feel pretty confident in the guns that I carry. It's not like I'm carrying a gun that I have 10 rounds through or anything like that. And some of my triggers can vary, but I feel I know the triggers pretty well. I do some little things. If I'm shooting dots, I have a little dot drill that I can PDF off of my phone and print them out. And that's a 3-yard drill. And so I'll do some at 3 yards, 5 yards, 7 yards. And then I do them at 15, and every once in a while I'll throw it out to 20. And I just shoot the paper plate at 20 yards, try to get them all on that paper plate. But I don't do that a whole lot. And then in competition, it's just going to vary whatever's thrown out there from the distances. So, but yeah, I mean, I feel pretty comfortable. But yeah, if you're stretching it out to like 40 and 50 yards with the carry gun, I don't know how accurate I would be. I mean, if, a guy was just standing up against a wall shooting at me, but if you've also got 50 yards between you and you can get the hell out of there, I would definitely consider getting the hell out of there, unless you've got to save, family members or something like that. So that's kind of what I do. But yeah, again, if you hadn't checked out Pop's video, it actually is a pretty entertaining video. It definitely makes you think about stuff like that. So,
yeah. So real quickly, going along with this topic, Fina was actually, hang on here. I just lost it. Give me a sec here. Sorry, it was Huey 7 was saying 7 to 15 yards with the 365. Try to go at least once a month. In my opinion, if you're going to shoot your carry gun at least once a month, I think you're doing great, because I know a lot of people do not do that. And if you're putting 4 or 5 boxes, if you can, I would say 250 rounds that's a pretty good range trip. Some people take a box and they shoot a box, and that's fine. It's better than nothing. But if you're getting one good session in a month at least, I think that's great. I wish more people would do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And, that is another gun that I kind of looked at too. And Fu picked one up, that new Taurus. That's that new Taurus TX22. It's their new 22. It actually does look pretty damn interesting. He said that he just picked it up. So I'll be interested in seeing what he thinks about that.
Nice.
But Yeah, and you know, hell, and that's another thing. I still haven't been able to do the gangster style shooting. You know that Honest Outlaw kind of told all of us or asked all of us to do, tagged us in it. So I got to get out and do that too. But I'm gonna have to get my high point. You know, if y'all haven't seen it on Instagram, there's a high point that's got sights on the side, so I'll have to use that one so I can shoot sideways.
Nice.
But anyway, let's see here. And then the other question I had, we're definitely getting some good questions out there. I appreciate it. But another question I had is when you do go to the range, and we've kind of talked about this before, but not, I'm going to kind of flip it a little different way. When you go to the range, do you take, now not your camera stuff and all that, just your range supplies? You know, do you take a lot of guns with you, a lot of ammo with you, or do you just kind of take 1 and 2 guns maybe and, you know, some ammo? What do you kind of take to the range with you?
17?
Well, I mean, normally at the range, I'm taking about 300, 350 rounds at a pop. As a matter of fact, I went shooting this past weekend for the PX4. I had 350 rounds with me, so that's just a pain in the ass to carry in, but whatever. And I only carried that one gun. I didn't really have anything else. And now that I think about it, hindsight wise, I probably would have gone back and brought my PO1 just to compare them. I didn't do that, so that's gonna just be another excuse for me to buy some ammo and go back. So, but you know, it depends. I mean, it depends on what I want to do. I mean, if I'm doing a new gun that I just got, I will take that with me, obviously, and then maybe something that's similar just to see how it compares to a gun that I shoot fairly well. That's around the same size, same mode, you know, mode, that kind of stuff. But it all depends. I mean, some days, you know, I'll take 3 guns, 4 guns. It just depends on how much I want to spend and how long I want to be there. You know, that's the way I look at it.
Okay. What about you, KS?
Anymore, I try and focus on one gun. I almost always have the camera with me. I mean, it's rare that I go to the range anymore without the camera. Although I do try and do it at least a couple times a month, if nothing else, just to go and shoot and not worry about all the extra stuff and being on camera and all of that, and just go to enjoy. Shoot, do some of the those automated drills that they have on the targets there and all that kind of stuff. I enjoy those. So generally 1, occasionally 2 guns, but I'm finding anymore when I shoot 2 different guns, especially if they're radically different, the second one is almost always not very enjoyable because I start getting used to the first one and the trigger cadence and the grip and just how I react to the gun. Then all of a sudden you have to do a little bit of a 180. And I know people say you should shoot all guns the same way. It should be the same feel and everything. I absolutely don't think that's true. And I've gone to the range a lot with multiple guns, and I find it's a very different experience. Now, my last range trip, I took the P10S, the C, and the F, and I shot all 3. That was a little different because they're basically the same gun. The ergos are basically the same. The trigger feel is basically the same. The sight picture is they react essentially the same way. There's just a slight difference in size and weight, and that's it. So that wasn't quite so bad, and the transition was much more seamless between them. But generally, when I get to that second gun, it's a wasted trip, or it's certainly a waste of film at that point in time. So, so generally 1 gun when I can.
Yeah. Well, I used to go and take, you know, 6 and 8 guns and all this stupid stuff. And I would get so irritated because I was shooting double action, single action, striker fire, you know, single action guns sometimes. And I was just all over the board. You know, I'd be great with some and I sucked with some. So now when I go, I try to take some striker fire guns if I'm shooting striker fire, or double action guns, or, you know, and then maybe with the double action, single action, I'll mix in a single action gun. You know, I'm starting to do that more. So I'm taking less so I can concentrate more on my shooting. And yeah, you're exactly right. You know, the last time I went to the range this past weekend, I didn't even take the camera. I didn't even, you know, of course, I just shot, enjoyed it, had a great time, and didn't film one thing. So it's good to step away from that, you know, because you're always worrying about, are you getting the great angle, and you're not concentrating on necessarily what you're doing as well as you could. So, but yeah, and then I usually take about 480 rounds. One of the things that I carry are those Walmart cashew jars, and then I'll rinse them out, and you can get 480 rounds of 9mm in there. So I know that, you know, as far as weighing them out and stuff. Humble actually figured that out for me because we were farting around, see how many we can get in there. But so I'll take that and it'll be full. And hell, sometimes I'll shoot 400 plus rounds in one range session. So, anyway, that's kind of what I carry. And yeah, because I'm tired of looking like a pack mule every time I'm going in there. So thinning it out quite a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got some new people joining. We've got Link's Defense. I think this might be his first time on. I don't remember seeing him any other times. But yeah, we appreciate all y'all being on. Any questions we've been missing? Oh, I did want to say music, and 17 can play off this. On her PO9, she actually put the night visions on her PO9. She got the yellow front, and she's saying they're not as bright as the Trigicons.
Well, I sort of said that.
Yeah.
They're not. They're just not. You know, they brag about them being whatever. What is it? 30% or 20% brighter.
Yeah.
They're really not. I mean, it's and maybe they are, but I'm telling you that that window they use is too small, so you don't get the brightness in that front. You get it in the back, but you don't get it in the front.
Gotcha.
And then, I mean, are they good night sights? Yeah, they're good. They're built very well. Are they really as bright as they claim? Maybe they are, but the window on that front dot is too small.
Okay. Yeah, Ryan said he's still looking at the PO7 or the PO9. Don't look at them, grab them. They're great guns. Pop's Quest is asking, how many cashews do I eat? This is over, like, every time I have some, I'll just save the damn thing when the little can when they go away, and I just save those up, and they're great for taking ammo to the range.
Yeah, I use those big Planters peanuts. They're kind of plastic jars, whatever you want to say, and I use those for bench rags, and I have one that's a little trash can next to my workbench downstairs, and just a variety of different things. Storage. I mean, they really are great.
Yeah. Hell, I even have one right here, and it's full. I've got multiple ones of these, but this one's full of 1911 mags. So
nice.
You can get a bunch of junk in them. So, and they're easier to store than, I don't have to really worry. I mean, there's a desiccant bag in there, but I don't really have to worry about, those, like, I'm not going to bury them in the yard or anything yet. Pops uses toilet paper rolls with duct tape.
Okay, Ryan M is saying, I need to get a P10C or a PO7 if you could only have one. So which one would you prefer?
Go ahead, 17.
P10.
If I could only have one, it would probably be the PO7. And the cool thing is they both take the same mags now.
Yep.
If you get the P10 mags.
Yeah, I found out an interesting thing with the mags, but yeah, P10 for me without question. The new P series though, the new C, F, and S, they are not interchangeable with the old magazine. That I found that very interesting, but the new magazine release just won't work with it. So I think all the new magazines going forward will have the double cuts for the old and the new. But
yep, and that stinks.
It does. That does, because I still have a couple of P10 mags from the old gun. So they are paperweights.
Pat's asking, is it worth getting a trigger job on a PO7 from Cajun Gunworks? What do you guys think?
I don't know. Never had one. No idea.
I have. Go ahead, KS.
Well, I will say, because I do not like the PO7 or PO9 triggers, any improvement is a welcome improvement as far as I'm concerned. I just simply don't like those triggers.
I did a video a long time ago, the Cajun PO7 versus the standard PO7. And honestly, you're going to get a little bit better double action, but I think you could do that with just a basic spring kit and an extended firing pin. And the groups were exactly the same for me. So I don't think it's worth $250. Not on that gun. A lot of the metal guns, probably so. But let's see here. There's some people chiming in. All right, let's see here. One more question I had. Do y'all have a favorite grain of ammo? I know a lot of people shoot 9mm, but do you prefer 115, 124, 147, or does it really matter? And you can say for target and then for self-defense if you choose to.
I don't have any favorites. I get whatever is on sale and what's affordable, whether it's 115, 124 and up. I don't really care.
Okay. What you care?
If it's for, sorry, I was answering a question. If it's for range use, 115 without question. If it's for self-defense, I don't care as much. 124, 147, it really doesn't matter. I mean, I want quality ammo. I want something that goes bang every time, and it has decent performance. But I'm not quite so partial.
Okay. Yeah, for range ammo, I'll shoot 124, or excuse me, 115 or 124. But self-defense, I choose 124, and that's just because it's kind of a happy medium between the 147 and the 115, and I've had really good luck with it. Question, let's see here. Fu Mr. Chu's asking if you could only and y'all can, well, I know KS can answer this. He shot both. If you could only have one, the Sphinx or the P07 Omega, which would you choose?
I'd go Sphinx. I think it has a better trigger. I mean the balance is a little different on the Sphinx. It's a little bit more top heavy, but I do like the trigger better.
Okay.
Can't tell you. I've never shot a Sphinx.
I would say between the two, the P07 is readily available and it's a lot cheaper. And I mean, it's a very good gun. I love the P07. Sphinx, if money's not the issue, the Sphinx is a super nice gun. I really enjoy it. And it's actually better with the modern weapons trigger kit and the sights. But Sphinx is a super, super nice gun. I really like it. So won't ever get rid of it. Let's see here. Yeah, and there's a lot of people, saying they're, 115, 124. Have y'all shot a lot of the Underwood ammo?
I've never shot Underwood.
Never.
Okay. I've only shot it, I think, twice, and not into anything where I could see it opening up. I shot it and it was a little peppy, but I haven't seen any, like shot gel with it personally or anything like that. So I don't know. But as long as it goes bangs and makes a big hole, that's what it's all about. All right. Y'all have any questions y'all wanted to bring up?
No, I did see a couple of questions flashing by. So talk about gun modding a little bit, because we've all had some experience with this. A Music Lover was asking about favorite triggers. So do you guys have, when you've done any modifications, do you have a favorite trigger that you've discovered that is not out of the box?
You mean a like to buy a trigger kit?
So in other words, an aftermarket trigger, some sort of aftermarket trigger. So not out of the box.
So do we have like a preference of what we see, or
no? Do you have a favorite?
Like a brand?
Well, I mean, I've only been exposed to the HB Industries, if I can say it, HB Industries trigger on the P10, which is very good. And I do like the Apex triggers, obviously. I have not had any experience. Well, I actually did have one on a Glock 17 from, I cannot remember whom. But I mean, I like the Apex. I actually, especially on the Glocks and the MP, obviously, but I like the Glocks because of the width of the trigger shoe, So you pat it, your finger fits really nicely on it. I mean, that's why I prefer them, just because it feels like my finger belongs on that trigger, And even with the 2.0, I just think they give you such a wide surface area on their triggers that's what makes it better for me. But that's my own, personal choice based on my experience. I haven't had really much experience with any other triggers, though.
Yeah, as far as triggers, definitely really enjoy Apex. And of course they make their setup to where it's much, much better. And it still meets the, the safety drop test, which is good. And the neat thing about Apex, I've done this on a few guns, you can take some of the factory springs that your gun comes with and some of the Apex springs that theirs comes with, and you can make it a little lighter. You can kind of tweak it, if you want a better reset, you can kind of make it better. Not Apex factory is nice the way it is out of the box. And I don't really have a lot of experience other than like the Scorpion. I've got the HB and the Scorpion, and I really like it. But as far as rifles, Hyperfire. I mean, if you wanted to bring that up. Hyperfire triggers are awesome. So, and you know, CMG or what is it? CMC or CMG, they make really nice triggers too. I've got a couple of those in rifles, but I do prefer the Hyperfire.
Yeah.
What about you?
I would say over the long term, Apex, they've always done well. I think the M&P 2.0 Apex trigger is still one of the finest triggers, aftermarket triggers I've ever experienced. I mean, it just is a wonderful experience. And they do really well with Glock too, because they push the face out a little bit, so there's a little bit more distance, and that seems to work really well for my style of shooting. But they still, they're just really predictable. They feel really good, especially if you've got, you know, a couple of other parts that are working with it in the gun. I've been working with Tactical Pontoon a little bit lately. He's got some amazing triggers as well. I don't have as much trigger time behind them, but starting to spend more time, and they've been pretty impressive. I've here the Glock 48 right here, a little Tactical Pontoon action in there. But those are kind of probably my favorites. I've spent some time with Overwatch Precision, and they're good to me. They're not great. I don't appreciate the feel as much as some people do. But there are a lot of good options out there, certainly for handguns. I haven't done as much trigger modification and double action, single action. I mean, I've got that Armory craft trigger in the TSO, but really it's just the shoe. It's not really changing the dynamic of the trigger itself, just the aluminum feel on the face of the trigger, the shoe itself. So still kind of a noob with the ARs and everything, but there are a lot of good options out there, and it's fun to play around with different triggers and find something that works for you.
And that's what it comes down to, just whatever you like. I know people that don't use stock triggers. They shoot factory triggers really, really well. And I just say, whatever works for you, you know, shoot, do it. So let's see here. Do you like to run AKs instead of ARs?
ARs.
Okay.
When I could, AK.
Okay. I would say ARs for me. I don't have a ton of experience with AKs personally. So, you know, and I've got that Sega, but to be honest with you, I really haven't shot it all that much. So, but I need to spend a little more time with it so I can honestly have a good opinion of it. Let's see here. Is there anything out there that, since, you know, we had SHOT Show and, you know, stuff like that, is there anything that's kind of exciting you or, you know, exciting for you, or anything you're kind of looking forward to purchasing or getting your hands on that you've seen pop up?
Yeah, the Beretta APX single stack. The one that magically disappeared off the internet. It's there. It's there. I saw it. I definitely saw it.
So, I mean, seriously, is it really true?
I'm telling you, it was literally 2 minutes, 46 seconds into that damn video. You see the guy, and he's shooting an APX, but a baby version of it. And it was thinner. It was smaller. It reminded me a lot of about the size of a shield, to be honest with you. Oh. But it was an identical APX, only slim.
That it would be really funny if it was like the compact slide, but then a single stack underneath it. So it's got this big, huge head and this tiny little body. You know, because we all.
Yeah, it looked very, very symmetrical, which was surprising, because even on the full-size one, you know, the grip always felt a little thinner than the actual slide. But that one looked like really super symmetrical. It looked like a really good-looking gun, I mean, to be honest with you. And you only saw it for maybe 3 seconds when he was shooting it, and then it went to a regular APX. But I saw it. I was like, holy shit, Poe was right. It was absolutely a single stack.
And did you say they pulled that video?
Yeah, video's gone.
Yeah. So obviously, I think they were shooting something shouldn't have been showing. That's the only reason I think they would pull the video.
All right, and Harry's saying Super Dave is a big dude, could have made him look small. He was actually shooting in the video other guns, and that gun was distinctly different from the other APXs. It was not a compact, wasn't a subcompact. It was a thin APX.
Wow.
Now, of course, I'm probably wrong, and it's probably just a regular size APX. But, you know, if it is a slim one and it's, you know, has the same mag capacity as like a Glock, 43X, that's going to be a pretty interesting gun.
Yeah. Yeah, and we've got, you know, like Josh is commenting, you know, on the P10S and stuff, that it won't take the P10C mags, and I think that's crappy too. You know, I wish it did,
But if we're going to have an honest discussion about the P10 optic ready, there's a lot of things about this gun that I think are starting to, I don't know, like everybody's so much up CZ's ass right now that it's hard to talk sense. And, honestly, Glock gets a hard, everybody gives Glock a hard time, but they give you the the base plates for the optics. They give you what you want, and everything's reciprocal. So the magazines are the same, blah, 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 blah. P10S is coming back out, all the optics readies, but they don't come out with the plates. Now you're talking about new magazines. I mean, I don't know, man. Like sometimes I think people just get caught up in it, and then they don't really use that sense and saying, but why are they doing this? Is it because there's only one-sided mag release and now you can switch it over? Maybe, but you're going to tell me that it takes a whole nother magazine design to make that work?
No, it's additional cuts. The old one just had the one side on each side. Now it's got two. So, I mean, you could take an old mag and maybe build a little jig or something, and you could cut it and try to trim it and file it and all that shit. But
well, if that's the case, then do the new magazines on the new P10s, do the P07 magazines work in that?
Yes.
Yeah, they're backwards compatible, and I've played around. I mean, like this the P10 optics ready here. I've played around with that, and we did test P07 at Center Fire. It does work just fine. So they're backwards compatible, but the old ones are not forward compatible. And that's exactly right. I mean, the magazine release is just because of this new system here. But I will say, and I'm going to offer a different perspective. I understand exactly where you're coming from. And the magazine thing, that was the only actual disappointment with this. The plate thing, I don't necessarily care about. And most people, they want one plate anyway. But if you think about it, you're getting this gun, at least in this particular build, the optics ready with the good night sights. It's $577 for the MSRP. So it's going to come in under that. I would imagine they're going to be around $500, $525, something like that. Mm-hmm. They're going to come in a little bit under Glocks, and Glocks, you get the crappy sights. There's some trade-offs. I mean, you're sort of talking one for the other at this point in time. The plates, it would have been cool if they had done the plates with it. I do agree with that. But I mean, I don't know. Most people are going to run with one optic. It's probably going to be an RMR or something like that. They'll get the plate, which I doubt will be that expensive, and they'll run with it. And it'll kind of do its thing. So,
right, but what is the price of the plate?
Well, they don't even have them out yet, and we don't know any pricing.
Right. And then what's going to be the production number that's going to be coming out? Is there going to be a shortage of them, based on the demand of what optic you want to carry? So I listen, you guys know I like CZs, man, but I think sometimes they just they jump in the water before they look to see what's in it. But that's just something that I've seen with some of their guns they release.
Then also the co-witness sights too. If they said that they're going to have those available, they'll have the plates and then the co-witness sights for your optic. Mm-hmm. And they don't have either one of those ready yet. So, or at least not here yet, so for purchase. So I don't know. Maybe we'll see.
To answer Harry's question, yes, the new mags are all interchangeable. So if you have the S, if you want to pick up a 19 round for the F, they will work. They'll work fine because all the cuts are the same. I did do some testing. In fact, on the video coming out this weekend, you'll probably see a couple of times a longer mag. I had a couple of the P10, the new P10 magazines with me because I forgot. I have 3 S magazines and I forgot the one with the extended base plate on it. So I had to do a little finagling. But yeah, they all do work. So that's at least good. I mean, if you want to pick up one of the new 19 round magazines and you get a P10S, I mean, you're kind of golden there. So
yeah, that's true. Any questions we have missed? Let's see here.
Yeah, Channel Cat Chaser is saying, when are you taking questions? So bring up questions.
Okay, well, what's this question?
Lyle's asking, is the backwards compatibility the key to double stack subcompact and compact guns? No, it's just the magazine release. That was one of the big gripes. There were 2 big gripes with the P10 early on. The magazine release and the slide release were both extremely stiff. And the magazine release, they would both work in over time. I mean, I remember my first P10, it took a while, but after a while they were fine. It wasn't that big of a deal. And you knew you weren't going to pop a magazine out. But a lot of people had problems with that. They also had a problem with the opposite side magazine release. So if I'm right-handed, so whatever's the left side, or I guess the right side poking into my hand, some people feared that they might eject a magazine, something like that. And so they went back and they reworked the magazine. It's so much easier. I mean, there's effort less effort. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on that at all. The slide stop slide release, though, however, it is still pretty darn stiff. So, you know, it is what it is. But
yeah, and I've heard, you know, I'm heard. Of course, we kind of know this too. If you're trying to drop it on an empty mag, you know, an empty mag is designed to keep it open. So, you know, you should be able to drop it pretty easily. Oh, and it does have the forward, you know, where you can tilt it and slam it in there, and the slide will go forward. You know, that's a cool thing about the new CZ. It's got that too, but I think my old one did it anyway. All right, I'm going to start a new thing, guys, on the chat. And what we're going to do, and I'll send this over to y'all, but we're going to shout out 2 channels. They can be big channels, small channels, whatever. We're each going to shout out 2 channels that we like and that we want some of the family to go and check out. So what do you got, 17? Who's your 2 channels?
I'm looking right now.
Okay. KS, who's your 2 channels?
Well, 2 channels that come to mind right off the bat that I really enjoy, and I enjoy a lot of channels. I mean, there's
I know we do
folks out there like Pops and such, but I watch often. I mean, Honest Outlaw, I really enjoy his content a lot, and then Coda is always entertaining. In fact, I was watching his video on the PO1 steel. He was doing some work because it's a carry gun, and a great video. I mean, you know, just a lot of likable personalities. But I was watching a Pops video earlier as well, so I have a lot of channels I really like.
Okay, so who's your 2 channels?
Those were the 2.
Who?
Honest Outlaw and Coda Boy.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so I'll be more direct next time.
Okay. No, I'm just playing. What about you, 17?
The first one I like is I'm picking 2 non-gun channels because, you know.
Okay, that's cool.
I'm picking Angry Cops. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that channel.
Okay. No.
He's a DI for the United States Army, and he's funny as hell. You should check it out. Angry
I will check him out.
And then the other one I like is Conservative in New York, Christopher Wright.
Okay.
Basically, he's a black dude who lives in New York City, walks the city blocks, and talks about left-wing liberal policies in New York. And it's just he's a very intellectual young man. I appreciate his commentary, and he always has something good to say, especially when it comes to, you know, the shape of New York, to say the least.
All right, my 2 channels is the X-Ring channel. Don't know if y'all are familiar with him. You probably are, but you know, he's got some really cool like military type rifles, but then he also does competitive shooting. So he does 3 guns, stuff like that. So definitely always fun to tune into him and check him out. So the X-Ring channel is one. And then Josh Benware, he's actually in the chat. I really enjoy his content. You know, actually personally got to meet him at the Texas Shootout. Super nice guy. And he can shoot well. So has a really nice draw. And I enjoy his content. He's kind of just straight out his opinion, just like I am. You know, so check him out. Those are my 2.
Nice.
17 with us?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, okay. I just saw your little thing.
He has his pants off.
Just looking at myself in the mirror naked. That's all.
Yeah, and Mateo's saying like, you know, Paul Harrell and stuff. Yeah, I mean, there's so many great, you know, channels, and, you know, Coda Boy, Just an Opinion, all those, Humble Marksman. So, and this is just something we'll do periodically. So, but just wanted to kind of start something different. You know, if you're not familiar with some of these people, a lot of us are familiar with some of the really big channels. So, but just wanted to give shout outs to some people that, you know, maybe don't get a lot of shout outs.
Hey, real quickly, Killer Coiler was asking about the size of the P10S and if it fell in between the 365 and the Glock 26, and the short answer is no, it's actually bigger than both of them. So he came back and he said, "Wow, that's crazy. So it's lower capacity compact, not really a subcompact. So it is 12 rounds. But you know, and I'm curious to know what you guys think of this as well. The subcompact category is an odd duck a little bit because we've got single stack that's very clearly defined, right? The rounds are basically single stack. You're going to get somewhere between usually 6 and 10. And then you've got compact, which is usually around 15 rounds. You get a full size grip, but it's not the full size 17 or more rounds. And your slide is going to be a little bit shorter as well. You know, Glock 19-ish, M&P 2.0C, that sort of thing. But subcompacts are strange because a lot of people model the Glock 26 as a subcompact, and it is, but it is probably one of the smallest subcompacts on the market. It's small all the way around. It's light. It's only got 10 rounds, so the grip is very small. The only thing I've found smaller is the PPQ-SC. And so subcompact gets a weird sort of rap, I think. And I've made a couple points in videos about this as well. What do you guys think about subcompact? Well, how do you define that?
Go ahead, 17.
That's a good question. I mean, some people would define the Glock 19 not even as a compact in some cases. I think a subcompact is, like, for me, I think the Glock 19, and I'll say it again, M&P 2.0, Glock 19, guns this size, I consider compact guns. So I think anything that falls smaller than this goes into that subcompact category. I personally am not a huge fan of subcompact handguns. I'm just not. I'll give you a great example. I went out and I went to the gun store, and they finally got like 45 P365s in, now that they've been out forever and nobody probably wants to buy them anymore. So I was playing around with this gun, and that's a subcompact. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. I would think that's more of like a micro compact. That's not even a subcompact, because that gun is so small on every level, the barrel, the slide, the grip. I don't even know if I could call that a subcompact, because if you think of subcompact, you do think of a Glock 26, but I don't know. Like, for me, I've never really developed that great interest in having a gun that small. And the bottom line for me, it boils down to, you know what? If I have to grab my gun in an emergency situation, not only are my nerves going to be completely out of whack, my adrenaline's going to be running, but the last thing I want to have to worry about is getting a good enough grip on that gun to control it, so that what I'm hitting is what I want to hit. So for me, I've kind of gotten away from those subcompacts. You could throw in the single stack idea. Like, for example, are single stacks subcompact, or are single stacks compacts, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because, the PPS, that's a pretty big gun when you have the 8 round mag in there.
Yeah, but that's when you start thinking about, though, you don't think necessarily about capacity as much as you do about thinness, because that single stack is going to allow the gun overall to be thinner. It's a much
right. But would you consider that single stack a subcompact gun?
No, I would not. I consider them totally different. And part of that's just because of how I've classified them
Sure.
so long. It's my own personal bias there.
Right.
But because, let's say, the Glock 43, the Glock 26, and the Glock 19, those are three distinctly different guns.
Right.
They don't belong in the same category, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, the 43 is a single stack. The 26 is a subcompact. The 19 is a compact. 17's a full size, and then beyond is just large.
So then a single stack gun to you is just a single stack. There is no category of compact, subcompact, or anything. It's just single stack.
Well, as far as like a 43 or 43X or anything, those to me are all single stack firearms.
So then I'll throw a wrench into this. What would you consider a 48?
48, it's still a single stack. I mean,
right.
It's
the size of what gun?
But to me, I don't consider this a compact, because, again, to me, this is still very thin. It's got the single stack magazine. Now, where it does get complicated, it's 10 rounds, and I define subcompacts like a Glock 26. I know I've got a variety of guns here. This, it's 10 rounds as well, though you can get more with, base plates and sort of thing. But it's a wider gun. I mean, it's a stout gun, and you start getting into those double stacks when you're 10 to maybe 13 rounds, 14 rounds ish, not quite 14, but roughly there. That's where I really consider a subcompact firearm. But it is nebulous. I mean, and we're encroaching upon.
You're blurring the lines here, because that 48, it's a single stack. You're absolutely right. It's a 10 round single stack compact gun, because it's the same damn size as a 19.
You're right. You're right. But that also, that to me, and a lot of people have been giving Glock a little bit of crap for that. I think it's pure genius, because all of a sudden you have this thing that's an amalgamation of two distinct.
And it works on so many different levels for the people in states like mine. It's awesome. Although Harry might have blown that for everybody. Thank you, Harry. But at the same time, it's such a slim gun that it's going to be easy to conceal and carry. But at the same time, you're getting that grip, and you're getting the performance of hopefully a Glock 19 size gun. So I think it was perfect idea.
The way that I classify mine is anything with a single stack. Okay, if it takes a single stack mag, it is a single stack, because you could really bring this in. This is something y'all haven't brought up. What about a freaking 1911, a 3-pound 1911 that holds 10 rounds, you know, a single stack mag? I mean, that's a full size gun, but it's
Yeah.
still listed as a single stack. So, yeah, you're right. I mean, there's abominations with every gun, but also there is with cars and, you know, some sport utility vehicles too. You know, they throw an extra seatbelt in there that you could get a 2-year-old child in there, and they say, oh, it's a 5-passenger vehicle. No, it's not. So, I mean, you know, that's how they, you know, the automotive manipulates cars. But, you know, single stack, then you have your compacts, and then you have your micros. So I would say like a 365 is a micro, the LCP, you know, guns like that, the 42. But, you know, then when you get into the subcompacts, you know, and I've even joked about this because I own some, or own one, but, you know, like the 9C, the Glock 26, the VP9SK, you know, I just call them, and I know that they're subcompacts, but I just call them little fat pigs, because they're literally just chunky monkeys. I mean, they're just chunky guns, but they're short. You know, matter of fact, in my 9C, I run an X grip and the full size mag in it, because I like the width of them, but they're just so damn short. And then the pinky extension on those doesn't even hit my pinky. So, I mean, they're going to classify it the way they're going to classify it. And I think the way they do it is so they can make, like, if they have a single stack, then they can make a subcompact. You know, they can just get away with this. And like the, you know, like we've seen with the 43X and the 48, you know, is it a great idea? Hell yeah, it is. You know, I think it's a thinner, you know, somebody could probably appendix carry it a lot easier than they could a thicker gun, or maybe a 19. It would fit a lady's hand a lot better, or a smaller person's hand. So, I mean, I think the gun's, obviously it's selling very well. I mean, there's like 9 billion videos on it. So on the 43X and the 48. So it's obviously doing the niche that they wanted to hit. And for capacity states, you know, I mean, it's a home run. You know, you can get more of a full size gun with the 48, but you can have your 10-round capacity. So but anything that takes a true single stack mag, I don't care if it's a 1911 or, you know, even a Desert Eagle 50 cal, that's a single stack. So, you know, and it's a 4-pound gun. So that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, that's an interesting conversation, and you guys are exactly right. I mean, we are blurring the lines more every day, and it's going to become very hard as a reviewer down the road to say, well, this is a XYZ gun, because somebody inevitably is going to say, well, no, because of this and this and this. I mean, you know, you mentioned the VP9SK. A lot of people are saying, no way, man, that's a compact. That is not a subcompact, because a lot of people say the VP9 is a full-size firearm, whereas I think it is kind of an amalgamation. It's got a longer slide, but it's got a 15-round shorter grip. So, you know, it's hard. It's getting harder and harder these days.
And hell, if you know, like, think about the VP9 with the L slide on it, you know, when that's available, that's, you know, that's going into the territory where everybody wanted, you know, Glock to go, wanted the longer slide with the smaller grip. So who knows? I mean, you know, everything can be different.
So I gotta real quickly. Feared but Good has put a couple posts on here, and I've seen his Instagram posts. He's been nice enough to share them with me. He was doing some work on a double stack Glock magazine and putting it into a 43X or a 48. Just a word of caution. I saw what you're working on. It's an interesting experiment for sure. I'll be interested to hear the results, but be careful. You know, you've changed the dynamic of the other magazine a lot, and that could impede functionality and cause potential issues. So just, you know, proceed with caution. And that's just, I'm relatively conservative with doing things like that, even though I do polymer 80s and everything. When you're getting so far out of spec with something, you just want to make sure that you're not potentially going to run into a catastrophic failure. So proceed with caution.
Yeah, and music actually brings up a point, you know, we were talking about the shield, and I remember M&P, you know, they came out and said that it's kind of a single and a half stack because it's a little staggered, but, you know, yes. So music, you are correct. Let's see here. And then Mateo is actually saying, you know, the DIFI has her way of any pistol over 50 ounces will be banned. and 50 Desert Eagle would not. Yeah. You know, and that brings up a point. You know, I know we know about, or y'all probably heard about this ammo tax that this lady's trying to pass, and 50% ammo tax, but not to military and not to LE, only to civilians.
Right.
I mean, can you believe this kind of crap? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, it's it's what they want to do, man.
Yeah.
And there's nobody stopping them.
Yeah, hopefully it won't get voted in, but that is ridiculous.
Well, they're definitely trying to push that in Connecticut too, just so you're aware.
Yeah.
That's the new thing. And, I saw that and I made the comment that, what they're doing is they're not even trying to get these onto the law books. They're trying to push them as health codes so that when they push them as health codes, they can't be challenged in the Supreme Court because they are codes, not laws. So they're not controlled by, that whole thing in regards to, challenging them in the rule of law in court, because a code is not a quote unquote law. So, but that's what they're doing. I mean, that's how they're pushing their agendas, because they're trying to mask it as non-laws. But that's a story for another day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Pops is bringing up a point too. You should get into reloading. Every gun guy should. I just wondered if they're ever gonna, and I don't really want to say it, but I'm wondering if they're ever gonna go after any of the reloading supply products. Like gunpowder and stuff like that. I've always been curious. Because everybody talks about the single bullet. The single cartridge. I just wondered if that's ever gonna, people are gonna start going after that too.
I don't know. Good question.
Because I've never heard anybody bring up, we want to outlaw gunpowder or only sell it in certain quantities. I've never heard that brought up.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're probably not, privy to the whole idea of reloading, because let's be honest, we're not talking about the smartest group of people.
Yeah, I know, Jolly. That's why I didn't want to bring it up. But Mateo's saying they already tried to do that a few years back. So, yeah, and yeah, they don't. I was going to say, hell, they're so ignorant about firearms in general. That's the least thing they would think about. But anyway, we're getting a little close. Y'all want to go ahead? What do y'all have coming up on y'all's channels?
Go ahead, Cass, because I'm sure you got more than me.
Wow, that's a good intro. How do I follow that? So yeah, the P10S that drops on Saturday, and then working on a bunch of other things as well. And I want to get episode 3 of the Dagger Defense build, that first AR done. Man, it's a lot of fun. That is a fun gun. I will tell you that much. Yeah, it's just also it's busy. It's busy right now. So a lot of stuff going on.
Good deal. What about you? 17?
I don't really have anything major coming. I mean, I got the holster month. Like I said, that's coming up. I just got to get everything together and just start busting those out. Some interesting things have come. So I'm kind of excited to show some new stuff. And then some old stuff, which I really do like quite a bit. I'll probably do a site video. I've got some Trigicons coming in for the Storm. So that's going to be kind of cool, because there's really not a lot of offerings for that gun. So I think that's kind of fun. Although I hear it's a pain in the ass to remove those sites, so that should be interesting. Gun wise, I'm just waiting for the call to pick up my 48 so I can go get that. We'll see what happens from there. Like I said, I don't really plan that far ahead. Let's put it that way.
Okay. There you go. Nothing wrong with that either. Whatever floats your boat, do it. Yeah, I've got a couple of toys coming in that I'm waiting for. Hopefully, I know one will be here Friday. I'm hoping the other one will be here this week too. And so I've got those coming up, and got some holster stuff, not anything major, and got a couple of other types of gear that I've got that I'm going to be reviewing. And then I've got some follow-ups. People have asked, like, how's this running? How's that running? So I got some follow-ups, and some of them are fails. So it took a while for them to fail, and they failed. So stay tuned for that, because I don't only say the good, I say the bad. So, but I appreciate the family being on. Again, check out the channels we recommended, and check out the other family members out there. We appreciate y'all so much. Definitely give thumbs out. Check us out on Instagram, and subscribe to us if you're not. And we definitely appreciate it very much. Y'all have anything else?
Well, just thanks everybody for joining us as always. We really appreciate it.
Yep, appreciate it. And, thanks for sticking around for another hour of fun.
There you go. All right. Thanks, gentlemen. I appreciate y'all. Thanks to the family. Y'all have a great night. Carry on.
See ya.